Everyone, welcome to our live session for 2025, the first session for the new year at EDEX Expo from Sri Lanka right now, from EDEX Colombo, right? So the purpose of the live session is to discuss migration and education matters with our audience, as well as if anyone coming on live at the EDEX session, we'd like to share our knowledge. If you have any questions, we would like to give the opportunity for you to ask those questions live with us. So my name is Isuru Yapa. I'm an Australian registered migration agent and an education agent. And I've got Mr. Yogesh Nair right next to me, waiting anxiously to talk to you and share his knowledge with you as well. So we'll talk few topics and have a general discussion. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please type your question down below in the comment section, whether you're coming from YouTube or Facebook or any other social media platform. Our intention is to share our knowledge with you, whether there is no good or bad answers. So if you have a question about picking up a course, picking up a visa subclass, or if you have any doubts, is it worth taking this risk? We would like to share our opinion and knowledge right here, right with you. If you like to get some heads up what questions might be, the topics might be that we might want to talk. I'd say student visas, when we talk about student visas, there's a lot of negative and positive discussions these days about visa delays and maybe negative outcomes from the application process, etc. But what's your opinion, Yogesh, as far as, we work with a lot of countries, but we have a live audience here at EDEX in Sri Lanka. What do you think is the response from DHA for our applications these days?
From Sri Lanka, it is taking around 2 to 3 months for the visas to be decided. And recently the response has been really amazing. I was having a chat with one of our partner agents for New Zealand, for a matter of fact, and we got to know that the success ratio for Sri Lankans towards New Zealand providers is approximately 93%.
Yeah.
So approximately 63 visas were approved out of 68. And so far for Australia also, it's looking quite promising.
Thank you. Yes, I also say, everyone say what's all this about when they talk about visas are getting delayed or the tourist tricks getting refused. I guess always there are changes in the systems and the way the department would monitor how to scrutinize the right genuine students. If the application has a good attention to detail and a good explanation about your journey, I have never seen, this is the 20th plus year, I think 21st year in Sirus journey. Within this journey, we have seen lots of ups and downs and in numbers, but it has always been good for the genuine students. Never been adverse market for genuine students. So what qualifications should we worry about when we talk about student visas? How to come to Australia to study? Main things in the list is for you to have your academic background. You need to have a supporting academic background right now to proceed and go ahead for the next level. For an example, from Sri Lanka, you need to have A levels to go into a bachelor's degree. Very simple. You need to have O levels to go into A levels. If you don't want to do 2 years of A levels, or if you decide to expedite the process, or if you have less results from your A level, what would you do? You can always substitute your A levels with a foundation program, and then you can go lead into your bachelor's degrees. So when we are applying for these visas, what are the main criteria? We look at education, academic, previous academic qualification, and English.
English, yes.
And then the financials.
Financials, yeah.
And most importantly these days, a bigger weight towards genuine temporary entrant, or it's
Genuine student criteria, yeah.
the time to time the word changes, but it's still the same thing. We have to justify why you come to Australia to study. So if you were to come here to study a foundation program at 38 year, then it can be a question about your genuine temporary entrant. But if you're a student who's completing your O levels and come here to do your foundation and bachelor's, I think you have a pretty good case. And then you just have to show that you have the proper academic background, you have proper financial background, you have proper English to come here and study. And having said that, a lot of people think you can only come to Australia to study in university level, which is not true. What's the grade that you would recommend that someone can come, Yogesh?
Grade as in the scores?
School? Which age?
Which age? Oh. Okay, so if you're planning to come to study, let's say, a bachelor's degree, it is recommended that you should have finished your A levels recently. That means you should be somewhere between globally around 18 to 22. Anything which you are exceeding above that, let's say for example you are 26 and now you are planning to study a bachelor's course in a university in Australia, that's going to be a challenge. Even if you have most amount of let's say you have 8 in your English and you have the best financial capacity, but because of the age and because of the overlapped gap, the chances of you getting the admission and also the visa outcome could be challenging.
And also there is this bad perception that you can only come here to do foundation. No,
Yeah.
you can come to your school ages.
Yeah.
You've just completed the visa application a couple of months ago
Yeah.
for a PNG student, and what was her age?
Recently, I think we had one from PNG and I think she was in year 7 or year 8.
No, Claire was in grade 3.
Yeah, Clay was in grade 3 and there was a Sri Lankan parent. I think we did the Nepalese parent. I think we did the visa for schooling sector, and they had 3 students from the same family. One was for year 3 or year 4, one was for year 7, and one was for year 11. All from the same family, and all of them have been granted last month in December.
So in short, if you're keen to come to Australia to study or New Zealand to study, your journey can be started as early as in grade 2, 3. I mean, I have never dealt with a client in grade 1 unless they were dependent. But I think my youngest client was for grade 3 onwards. So there are good schools, and highly recommended for one of the parents to come and join with them. Come here, study, and then you can continue your journey, and you can go get the visa up to 5 years in one hit. But I mean, lately we've got one client. She's got the visa for
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know how Yogesh does this, but
It's a huge success for us, and
yeah.
it was a bit of a challenging case, but when the visa got approved, the client was really relieved, and we as agents, we tried to do the best we could. And I still remember the entire application when we were having a look, and when I spoke to the counselors and everything, I was a bit skeptical when I saw that the entire duration of the course was 7 years. But then with the proper team, I think with the proper administration, you get that confidence. And when you have been doing this for such a long time, like Isuru said, almost it's been more than 20 years now. So you have to trust your guts on this. But luckily it got granted.
Yeah. So Australia, New Zealand, you can come early stages to complete your year 5, year 7. If you come to Australia, what needs to happen? The tuition fees for state schools range between $10,000 to $15,000 a year. So it's not as expensive as coming to university stages.
Yeah.
And you can come at grade 3 all the way to grade 12. If you're coming towards grade 12, I recommend to come at least start about grade 10 or 11, because the last 2 years of your education is critical. In Australia, you don't have grade 13, so you go year 11, 12. And then you can proceed to your studies. So if you're coming to year 12, so studies, you have to show your demonstrate your financials. $30,000 per person per annum at the moment. If you're coming with a parent, you have to show instead of 30,000, another 30,000 as the expenses for the parent, so $60,000. That to show that you have enough financial capacity to spend money on your accommodation, your
living
cost, etc. And then you need to show that you have been successfully completing your previous grades, whether you were from grade 2 or grade 3 or grade 5, grade 7. Your previous 2 years has been successful for you. And you need to demonstrate that you have good English, or else if you come into schools, you have to go through a English preparation program, and then you need to demonstrate that you and your family has genuine intention to come to Australia to study, and you have that sound financial capacity to show that. And sometimes you can avoid showing actual financials depending on your parents' earnings. There are a lot of expats coming from who's working in outside of Sri Lanka, and they probably make money overseas, and when their annual income to a certain extent, you don't have to show those financials, but you need to show the proofs of the income. And English is simple enough. You just need to have those previous grades and the school reports lined up. The guardian has to be somewhat close relative, like your parents or your siblings, as long as they don't study, because when underage student comes to Australia, there's a huge responsibility for the guardian to look after them. There are house what do you call them, homestay facilities as well, which are being handpicked and scrutinized by the Department of Education. For them to be qualified, they couldn't have any criminal background or bad history, to ensure that the students who's coming and staying with them are safe.
Yep.
And so that's a bit about schooling system. Very similar in New Zealand as well. You have to demonstrate 20,000 New Zealand dollars per person, and the schooling fees can vary in a similar range, it's a little bit expensive, but when you compare it to the dollars, it's pretty much the similar to Australia. And there are really nice private and state schools in New Zealand as well, where they have great prospects for your children to come and study. So now we're going to school. You want to talk about the foundation programs, how it works, before we go to vocational, and what's the difference between vocational and academic, Yogesh?
Sure.
And then start with the foundation, maybe, so that way.
So to qualify to study a foundation program, you need to have at least minimum O levels from Sri Lanka, and you'll need to have meet certain English requirements too. But with a pathway of a foundation course, you can get an entry into a bachelor's program as well, into a university. So for example, sometimes there are students who do not meet the direct entry requirement, like Isuru mentioned in the earlier as well, that you did not clear your A levels, or there were some complications in your A level scores. In that case, based on your O level scores, if you have passed all of them, we could do a foundation packaged with a bachelor's in a university in Australia. And the chances of the approval for such applications are good, based only if the age is right. So like Isru mentioned earlier as well, if the age is exceeding them, like what I said, 18 to 22, if the age is above 24, 26, and you're planning to package that with the foundation, that's going to be again a challenging risk. After foundation, let's talk about vocational and the courses which are good. Yeah.
There is a question from Shifi. Before we move on, let's answer that, and then we'll move on to vocational education. Stay with us. We're going to talk about the most important topic, scholarships, towards the end as well, and how it works. So Shifi is looking for applying for July intake in the field of social studies, which is very good. It's a really good migration demanded area as well. I'm not saying come here to study to get into migration programs, but if you have intentions, especially planning yourself towards something, there is a good demand across the world at the moment in most of the developed countries, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, UK, USA. Social workers play a big role, and there is not enough social workers around the world at the moment. Do you want to talk a little bit about the requirements?
So to answer that question, what are the requirements for the field of social studies? So if you're coming to study Bachelor's of Social Work, you need to have minimum A levels, and the English requirements for this course would be 7 each in IELTS or 65 each in PTE. And fortunately, the same is the requirement towards Masters of Social Work as well. So in the initial stage of the application, even if you have A levels or Bachelor's, or you're planning to study undergraduate or postgraduate, you need to have minimum 7 each in your English, plus you need to have at least 65% or above in your A levels, and have at least passed with A division in your bachelor's degree. That's the requirement for Bachelor's of Social Work. I hope it answers the requirements for Shifana.
And looking for a university, it is always important to look for an institute who's accredited by ASWA as well. ASWA is the peak body who accredits the social workers, and also for their recognition. That way you can get a skill assessment straight away after you completing the course, whether you do a bachelor's degree or you only did a master's degree for 2 years. You can be, the biggest advantage there is you can be obtaining a skills assessment right after your course without going through skills assessment, as long as you study in an accredited university with an accredited course. Okay, Deomi, she's on the way to EDEX, Colombo. Wow, exciting. Can I know if there is a PR pathway for botanist in Australia? I'm planning to apply for bachelor's degree. Okay. I'm excited to know your background a little bit more when you come to the stall, so I can talk further about it. So you have several pathways, whether it's straight pathway for botanist or not. I'm happy to talk to you in person depending on your background. Botanist is in medium to long term list, so there are several options you can follow. So once you come to the stall, I'm happy to talk to you in person about it. Okay, Rex Patel, pastry cook is available in the direct entry 186 as per new occupation list. Pastry cook, I have to actually check. You can talk about something until the vocational.
Yeah, so coming back to the vocational courses, if you're from Sri Lanka, if you're really planning to study a vocational course, I believe it's better that you choose the right institute, and you make sure you package the course in such a way that you, when you finish your studies, you are able to transition into a good career, or maybe take a qualification back home which is going to benefit you. So some of the prominent occupations, or maybe the courses which are offered in vocational sectors, are automotive, carpentry, building and construction, chef, cook. These are the courses which are mostly in demand, and if you want to know the migration pathways, maybe you can book consultation with Isuru or Ashani later, and they might be able to help you out. But I think if you're coming from Sri Lanka, if you really don't want to study a bachelor's for 3 years or 4 years, and if you want to do a short course, and if you have interest in doing learning the mechanical and trade aspects and explore Australia for a year or two, maybe vet courses are really good.
Rex Patel, thank you. You did the search for me, but yeah, 186 direct entry is available for pastry cooks, but the thing is, you're missing the most important part of the program. For ENS, of course, you're going to have an employer. You're going to need an employer to nominate you. That's main part of the application process. Rest assured, it is not the hardest thing if you look for the right places. There are many opportunities for pastry cooks. I guess keep an eye out for job openings with recruiters, and you can probably find a job opportunity that way, or you can talk to respond to job advertisements and show how committed you are, and you can probably find opportunities that way as well. I guess that's all the questions so far in Facebook. While waiting for any other questions, shall we talk about the vocational? What's vocational education for? Do you want to talk?
Yes, sorry. Vocational education, when we talk about VET, it means vocational education training courses. These are short to medium courses which range from duration of 6 months to 2 years, sometimes more than 2 years, which includes occupation which are mostly into trade, or maybe occupations which are of short span, which you can study and gain an entry level qualification, either to transition into a bachelor's degree, or maybe if you want to start your career at an early stage. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's to somewhat to an extent, like VET courses are designed for people to be job ready in the vocational sector. They came into play. So if you want to become a cook or a chef or a dental technician or a engineering technician or a mechanic or a draft person, you go hard into become a job ready person. So towards the end of the course, you get trained in work oriented environments to get you ready. Whereas once when you get to the university levels, that's more academic. You're getting academically qualified to a certain subject rather than vocational. So wet is still booming around the world, and there are a lot of vacancies and demand for starting from plumbers, electricians, mechanics, cooks and chefs around the world, and tilers, floor tilers, bricklayers, boiler makers. So to become one of hands-on trade person, your best option is to go into a vocational course. I wouldn't recommend it as a pathway to, depending on your target, your strategy or your plan in your career, but it's more a sector that you go there to be job ready and get ready to become a tradesperson. You can be a qualified drafter. You could be a qualified, back in the days we had the enrolled nurse or aged care assistant, etc. So vet sector is a very important part in whole education journey, but it's where universities are more focused towards your academic growth. Vet sector's prime goal is to get you qualified to do a certain job. I hope it answers, gives you a clarification in there. So I have along my way, I have helped many cooks, chefs, motor mechanics, engineering technicians, civil drafters, assistant nurses or nurses, to find their way through this sector, and it is a very successful training program. So if you were to, it is also critical to find the right providers in this, because your prime goal is to complete this course and go right into the market, career market, and then find a job, and then get some more experience. As Yogesh said, if your intentions are to further pursue your career or professional career, there are certain bridges you can then merge into university sectors. Like once you study 2 years of advanced diploma in civil engineering, you can go into engineering technical side, or if you want to become a civil engineer, you can then merge yourself into a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, maybe getting some credits for some of the studies that you have completed as well. So you completed 2 years, and the bachelor's degree in civil engineering can be 4 years. You might get 1.5 credit depending on the provider and the curriculum that you studied, and then you can probably finish your bachelor's degree in 2 to 2.5 years. At time, in comparison, the price wise, the vet sectors comparatively cheaper than bachelor's degrees, but what you're expecting from wet sector is not what you're expecting from universities. So it's not all about academic in wet sector. You're more hands-on. You're getting ready for completing a job. Talking about wet sector, a lot of people talk about TAFE colleges in Australia, and a lot of people ask, what's this TAFE? So TAFE is an RTO, as a registered training organization. There are TAFE programs or institutional groups in many different states in Australia. So in Queensland we talk about TAFE Queensland, or Tasmania we talk about TAFE Tasmania. So TAFE is formally been introduced for Australian citizens and permanent residents to be qualified to be a tradesperson, or become qualified for a trade. So always can be highly regarded and recommended. We always back them up, and we work very closely with them. Prices wise also much reasonable. So if your passion is to become a trades hands-on person, it is always good to explore this region. And if you are more an academic person, you want to be a white collar guy sitting in a chair in an office and having whatever the degree does to you, then Yogesh is now going to talk about bachelor's degrees.
Yeah, before jumping onto that, just want to add one thing for the trade courses. We sometimes receive inquiries from offshore region. There are students who genuinely want to study into VET programs, but they already have bachelor's or master's from their home countries, and now they want to transition into a VET courses. It is highly not recommended. Reason, because you already have a higher level qualification, and if you really want to jump into a trade course after holding a bachelor's or master's, the college or the provider, or in fact the department, is going to see and check how that course is relevant to your past qualification or experience, and if you actually are a genuine student. So if, let's say, you have a bachelor's, you have 3-4 years of experience, let's say as a motor mechanic, and now you want to study Cert 3 Cert for a diploma of automotive, even though you might get admission easily, but you'll have to have a very strong genuine student statement justifying your intentions from already holding a bachelor's and now downgrading to a Cert 3 Cert 4 and diploma.
With that example though, if you're a motor mechanic, if you have a qualification for a motor mechanic, as a motor mechanic right now, and you have a diploma or an advanced diploma in mechanic or automotive engineering, if you want to come here to study something in wet sector, it is still possible. If you want to go study diesel engine, become a diesel engine mechanic, and if you have a proper reason to do so, I don't think it's a bad path. It's just you have to be, your intention has to be justified and has to have a proper reason. And because of there are many because of the non-genuine approach of certain clients, I guess the department time to time introduce certain measurements of finding genuine students and applicants. So you need to be able to properly stand by your pathway and justify what you want to do. So in that case, you can be backed up and find your pathway. So this is more than come and talk to someone and say, I want to become this. This is why we take time with you, sit down and understand what's your intention and how we can get you there. If you say I want to become a astronaut, we should find the way how we can. What's the best and best pathway for person A should not would not always be the best pathway for person B, depending on their personal circumstances. It could be their English, it could be their financials, it could be their expected completion date, it could be there are many factors that backs it up. So it is very important when you're deciding where to go and what to study. It is very important to find out your pathway, the right pathway.
I think we have got some questions. What are the chances of getting this marketing specialist? I think that's for you to answer.
I love marketing specialists. They're very talented people. Raymond, Marius, overboasting already. Raymond, it's the best way is to challenge businesses. If you could, there are many advertisements you can reach. You can always go to job recruiters to find an employer. But if you're a talented marketing specialist, if you have a specific area, just do your own search to find some employers and say, mate, I can increase your revenue by 40% by doing this magic, and get me hired, and this is my proven results, and this is my academic and background, academic and work background. And I guess people would love it. Put it as a business case rather than a boring CV and a job application. That's my experience. Just tell them, I'm here to take Mario's job out. So I hope it answered your question, but if you want further support, clarifications, please be in touch. You can email us or you can call us in person.
I think
Ashani,
at the EDEX we have got a lot of students who have some inquiries. I'm really sorry. We are really sorry that if we have delayed your questions. We'll try to answer them as quickly as we can.
we have a question. What's the minimum age required to pursue a diploma followed by a bachelor's degree? Minimum age could be 18, 17, depending on how quickly you have completed your A-levels or your foundation program.
Okay, next question is Mrs. Johnson.
Mrs. Johnson, currently following a foundation degree at UTS, which will be completed in July. I also have good O-level results, but I will receive the transcript in July. Should I apply for the foundation plus bachelor's program? Yeah, good idea. What? See, I hate to say this. There are some really harsh institutes. My experience, they purposely delay the transcripts and also delay the results to manipulate or the maneuver the students' next steps, benefiting them, which is very unfair, very unethical, very sad to see. I'm not saying your institute that you're going into is one of them, but there are many that I have experienced that they do. So what I suggest, you can always apply for foundation plus degree to study, but in between, if you have completed your requirement to substitute the foundation, you can always explain that to the university and go step forward to the bachelor's directly, taking the credits for whatever you have completed if you haven't completed. So that way you can I understand how important the younger age, 18, 19, 20, 21, delaying 6 months of their life, or 6 months of their 3 months of their life, or 1 year of their life is a crime, in my opinion. It's the prime time to pursue your bachelor's, complete your studies. So you should concentrate on completing your course. It could be whether you come to Australia or study somewhere else or study in Sri Lanka. As soon as you complete, go into the next part. And if there's any delays, you could, if you come into Australia or New Zealand, you can always enroll with the foundation and bachelor's, and you can always show that your pathway. I would when you come to the if you were to come to our exhibition stall, I highly recommend you to connect with us and talk to us in person. We will guide you through. Johnson.
I think the next question is from Johnson again. I'm 16 years old and will be 17 in October, and also I have got a 14-year-old sister. Do I need a guardian to apply for the student visa?
So yes.
Until unless you're 18, you'll need a guardian if you're coming as a student.
Say if you're under 18, there is a big responsibility that a person has to carry if they're studying, and they have their commitment to study. Then that they will not have enough time to 100% look after you. So you either have to go through a guardian, or you will have to find a homestay, which is going
approved,
to be an approved homestay program. There are programs like that in that many universities uses, and if you go to talk to us, we can probably help you out that way and time it accordingly. All right.
Any other questions which we might have missed?
Shall we move on to congratulations, who's this? Mario's showing off again. Congratulations.
Yeah, these are our
Latest
recent
visa grants.
student visas. I think we have got approvals in vet sector, we have got approvals in higher education, bachelor's, master's, foundation plus bachelor's, 7 years of student visa. You name it, we have it.
And I was so surprised to see one of our clients who came by the office today. Mario took the photo, but he might have forgotten to put it up here. That's okay. Put a bit of pressure on it. It's Mario's birthday week, so we can't just be mean to him.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Johnson.
Thank you, Johnson.
So, let's talk about bachelor's and master's degree programs, and then talk about the PhDs and why PhDs are, how the PhDs are working. Bachelor's programs, as we said, if we're talking about Australia, Sri Lanka, you have to have minimum of 3 S's, depending on the bachelor's program, to participate to the bachelor's degree. Average 6.5 in academic, English, no sub-scores less than 6. Again, you need to have that 1 year financial background, unless your parents have a high income. And then, depending on your age group and what you have completed before, you have to justify you're a genuine student.
Okay.
So there are many universities, there are many programs depending on what you want to study, and there are many scholarships available as well, depending on the time and the academic background you're carrying. Scholarships can be for 25%, 15%, 10%, or 50%, depending on the university or the time period as well.
Or if you are one of the most merit applications, the universities take care of you in terms of fees, and they support you to study the courses.
Courses.
Yeah.
So that's mostly about bachelor's degree. Bachelor's degree is a stepping stone. In Australia, the qualification system always has an entry academically or with experience. If you were to have a bachelor's degree qualification, is worth 5 years of work experience with those duties and qualifications. So if you want to become an accountant, it's equivalent to working as an accountant for 5 years. So that's also a stepping stone. If you have been working in a certain sector for a long time, you might be able to, and you have not completed your bachelor's degree, you might have pathways to go straight into master's degree without going to bachelor's. So you could be completing a postgraduate diploma, postgraduate certificate, or straight into a master's program. Master's programs generally 1 to 2 years, depending on the course, and there are two main types of master's courses. One is by coursework, the other one is by research. There are many outcomes for people studying masters, and you're in a high level of Australian qualification framework as well, and there are many pathways. Sometimes, if you were to come to Australia to study masters, people ask, why should I do a 2-year master's course instead of 1 year? The main reason for that is when you completed a course in Australia for over 92 weeks registered course, which is 2 academic years, within minimum of 16 academic calendars, calendar months, you can apply for a visa called 485. People call it temporary resident, TR, 485, post-study work visa, graduate visa, so many names for the same visa.
Yeah.
That visa allows you to stay in Australia after completing your course, work unlimitedly for minimum of 2 years. So that 2 years is very important for many applicants if they were to seek permanent residency pathways or be qualified or be registered. Certain registration requires certain employment background. So it is important for you to have that, even though whether you're going back home, whether you're going to stay in Australia, whether you're going to another country. If you studied this course, it is important for you to complete your registration, get that proper work experience before you go. So if you were to have that 2-year experience or the exposure, it is important for you to complete the graduate visa program. So for that, you're going to need a course that has a minimum of minimum registration for at least 2 years, and then 92 weeks of academic registration and completed in 2 years. Sean Prasad, I saw you. I saw your message and I lost what I was saying. You're welcome. It's always a pleasure.
The entry requirement for masters are again same 6.5 with not less than 6, but it is highly recommended that you have at least 6.5 each. But for certain masters, you might be required to have 7 each, sometimes more than that. For certain courses, you are required to have 8877 at the beginning of the application. For example,
Like
if you're
teaching or early education.
yeah, so teaching, sometimes they need you to have the same score even at the beginning of starting the master's degree. Plus, you need to have bachelor's, which is also relevant to what you are going to be studying in master's. So just make sure that you are aware of all the requirements, and if you really need help, contact us, and or maybe if you're at the EDEX, contact our counselors there. They might be able to help you out.
Yeah. So Let's talk about PhDs. PhD is a really good. PhD is a good pathway to get your 2 letters in front of your called doctor, doctor of philosophy. So you become a doctor, but you don't have to give medicine. So to apply for PhDs, it's not the same way that you would do as for a bachelor's degree or certain coursework master's degree. For an example, we are currently doing certain researches for one of electrical innovative project that I'm involved with, and within our company we currently engaging. So this is I'm just explaining how commercial and academic universities work together to have these occupations and have these pathways open for people. So we are currently offering a project with the university, and we are looking for a certain project student to carry on the research, PhD research for us. So when a university lists out number of researchers that they're willing to conduct for a certain year, then they list. We are going to these researchers, and they have to allocate certain supervisors to guide them how to follow the protocols of that research and engage the sponsorships or funding. Then they will put up once a year what are the list of researchers that they have available. Then you have to go and apply for the research by writing your background in a piece of paper called thesis. Then your supervisor will go through all those theses and then see who's the best qualified person to do a certain research. And that most of the universities only do it once a year or twice a year. So if you're planning to apply for a PhD program, a research program, don't wait. You should put up your profile and then approach the university and find the program and get enrolled for a research. You can engage with a consultant like us in the beginning, early stages, or at late stages to complete your visa program. Depending on the scholarship, there are Australian scholarships which fully fund the full program for you, but there are conditions that you will have to return back to your home country, and there are certain conditions such as you might have to continue to work, continue to stay out and work in your current field in the current country for at least 3 years before they can consider returning back to Australia or any other country. So you have to have a good understanding about the process before you start. And as I said, they can be partially sponsored PhD programs, fully sponsored PhD programs, or full paid PhD programs as well. So you need to show your academic background and your history in a profile, and the write-ups you have completed before you can apply for a PhD. One good incentive from Australia at the moment, recently the 485 age limit has come down to 35, but if you are completing a PhD or a master's by research, that 35 years is not applicable for you.
Ritika has a question. Do you guys have employers? First one.
Ritika, we are not a recruitment agency. We are a education and migration consultancy firm. At times we do get our corporate clients requesting if you are known for certain profiles. As soon as we get to know, what we do is we put it up in our Facebook. Mario gets to do up a little draft and put it up in Facebook. And so it is a good opportunity for me to tell everyone, if you think our information that we discuss is important, or if you're looking to come to Australia, planning to study in Australia, or if you planning to planning to study or work in or live and migrate to Australia or New Zealand, it is advisable for you to click on that subscribe button right now, or and then hit the like button so you'll be notified as soon as we put up one of these live programs or information videos when the new visa programs comes. We come here and we mainly explain the visa, how it works for everyone, so that way you'll be one of the first ones to get to know what are the new changes or what are the new opportunities comes through. So if you have interest in Australian education or migration or immigration information, I highly recommend you to be in touch with us by liking our Facebook page and YouTube page.
I have to add one more thing to it.
Anytime, sir.
If you are also interested in exploring your options for New Zealand, please contact us. We have university partners, we have colleges there in New Zealand.
And many scholarships are waiting.
Yeah. And if you think your profile does not meet the eligibility requirements for Australia, but you're still eager to settle abroad or study abroad, New Zealand could be your second option.
Oh, the first option.
Or the first option. You never know.
Are you going to upset our New Zealand plans?
So, just come and talk to us. And if you have any inquiries for New Zealand, please send us an email or talk to our counselors at the EDEX. Send us an email, give us a call, or reach out to our social media platforms. And we usually are planning to do more live sessions this year. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and reach out to all our viewers and spread the message.
Look, if you have a question, always feel free to contact us by one of those emails or phone numbers we listed. Our target is always to be available the fastest whenever you want us, whether you're a client or becoming a client, over the phone or by emails. Having said that, we have many emails comes through. And if you have an urgent question, so it can create delays for us to get back within the limits of resources. But if you have an urgent question that you probably want to discuss with us, pick up the phone, call us within the work hours, and we'll be more than pleased to support you wherever we can.
Yep.
To sort out your problems. I guess one other thing, between Australia and New Zealand, there are many scholarship programs available for genuine talented students. If you have a intention and if you have the qualifications and the talents and the skills behind you and you're planning to study, don't think twice. Come and explore these options. When you come to the office or when we come to one of our exhibition stalls, go and talk to our counselors. They will explain you all the possible scholarships that you can tap into as well.
And if you still haven't got your questions answered at the EDEX, and if you still need more information, please ask our counselors to book an appointment with one of us, either me if it's relating to the education part, or with Isuru if you need more expert advice on the migration part. So we're happy to help. We would be taking the appointments if you need any assistant at the EDEX. But please reach out. If you have any questions, please ask them. I hope our counselors are more than qualified enough to answer themselves, but we are here to back up.
And if you have, by any chance, if you have missed these exhibitions today, tomorrow, I think tomorrow's our goal. Like we are in the Future Minds exhibition in Goal. We'll if you miss these exhibitions, we will then you can still reach us through, if you're in Sri Lanka, through our Nugegoda office or Venapo office. But virtually we are everywhere, and if you're in any of the other countries where we have an office, you can always tap into our offices there. We are based in the head office in Brisbane, but having said that, every morning to the evening we are everywhere, so
we try our best to respond.
Alrighty then, that comes to a conclusion for the day, and thank you very much, Yogesh, and thank you very much you guys for being with us all this time, and thank you for all the questions. If you have a question, feel free to reach us. Happy weekend to everyone. Stay safe.
And Happy New Year, Happy 2025. Thank you guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye.